Just quieten down, baby.
Per capita export value.
Libraries. Minister, are you embarrassed by your behavior today?
There's a lot of bleeding hearts around.
Do you have the fortitude or the gonads to stand up and come across here and say that to me, you son of a bitch?
Just watch me.
He certainly went too far, Mr. Speaker, when I saw him stick his tongue out.
Contemptuous disregard. More than a slab of bacon talking here.
The disappointment you also feel is my responsibility.
I lost my temper.
What is the nature of your thoughts?
The word was FART.
Do you want to do the intro?
Welcome, welcome, welcome to Canadian Politics is Boring. My name is Jesse. With me is the all lubed up and ready to go Reese Waters. Lubing himself up in the corner.
Hi.
Just all that lube.
Got a swimming kids paddling pool full of KY jelly.
That's his favorite thing to do.
Yep.
This show is about a Welsh immigrant. That's the lubed up Welsh bastard over there who really likes Canadian politics. And he wants to teach me, an apathetic Canadian, about my own country's political history and goings-ons. And I don't give a shit. And we've been doing this for 3 years and I still don't give a shit. I just do it for fun, for funsies.
Hey,
and
Jesse.
for the ASMR. Yeah.
Did I tell you, I'm actually entitled. I've been here long enough to go for my citizenship.
Fucking A. Hey, right on.
Do you know how much it's going to cost? $1,500.
Yeah, I'm staying with someone right now who originally was from some French colonies, and like an island in the tropics somewhere, and he has been working on getting his permanent residency. And he was explaining last night about how incredibly difficult going from temporary resident to permanent resident to citizen is, and it's just like all the hoops you have to go through, the companies you have to apply for, the paperwork. He's been doing paperwork for days and days and days.
Yeah.
Shout out to Orion. Fucking, I don't know how to pronounce
Sounds
his
like
name.
me trying to pronounce somewhere in Quebec.
Anyway, cool. That's wicked, man.
I don't know if it's too expensive. $1,500. I mean,
did you say for citizenship?
yeah. So it was me, my wife, and we got to pay a fee for all of our kids to become.
But then you can vote if you really want to. But
I know I can, but it's just expensive. I'm hoping they were supposed to drop the fee. I'm hoping they'll drop the fee. I don't know if you're going to spend $1,500 on something. It's like, do you want to be a citizen of Canada, or do you want to? I don't know. What can you do? What can you buy for $1,500? 1992 Nissan.
You can get like a gaming computer.
You could get a good gaming computer. What would you choose?
You could get a cheap. You can get a laptop. You can get like a MacBook.
That's
MacBook
true.
Air.
Exactly. I could get a fridge with an ice dispenser. So.
Listen, I didn't listen to the other episode yet about ASMR to see whether or not you fixed the ASMR.
Perfect. Don't you worry.
So, but I'm just going to assume you didn't. So I'm going to record it again on my end and send it to you one more time, and we're going to do some ASMR.
I'll do some for you. There you go.
I couldn't hear that. You got to gargle.
I didn't make any noise.
Oh, okay. I'm going to take out a towel here. This is a towel. I'm going to turn up the microphone. Here we go. You ready for this? ASMR land. I'm going to do better because last time I opened up a bag of chips and it was extremely loud, and then I turned up the mic and we got feedback into the mic, and it was really, really, really bad ASMR. So I'm going to try to do some soothing ASMR, some towel. And Reese likes to describe.
Sorry, listeners. This is just Jesse's thing. He likes to do ASMR. I think it's shit, but there he is, caressing a towel like a lover's nipple. Blowing raspberries into the towel like a lover's nipple. Squeezing it firmly.
Okay, I'm done.
There you go. Did you see quick STD zone? Quick STD. Justin Trudeau is getting divorced from his wife.
I've heard that. Yeah.
Yeah. sad for a family to split up, but obviously, he's young and single. He's the prime minister. He wants to dip his wick, up to him.
Yep, that's what it is. He wants to dip his wick.
Anyway, everyone keeps telling me he's the sexiest leader in the world, and now we can cash in on it. So apparently now Polyev is really leaning into the fact that he's a family man, because Trudeau is...
right, Trudeau's the fucking...
sassy and single prime minister.
Sassy and single? Can we make that a Munger t-shirt?
Sassy and single.
Sassy and single, baby.
So his wife is like already kind of going into the fact he's like, his kids call him Papa and all this kind of thing. Yeah. So it's interesting. It'll be interesting to see him like wheeling out his kids more often to go Trudeau, and he sees his kids every other Wednesday.
Right. Is that true?
No, I don't know. I don't know.
Oh.
I don't know.
I mean, you're Justin Trudeau's divorce lawyer, according to the screen. You should know if anybody knows.
In case you didn't know, my name on this session is Justin Trudeau's divorce lawyer. So yeah, I'm not, just so you know. I wonder if we're getting an interview with him about the confidential information.
Yeah, that'd be easy to get, of course.
Yeah.
We just haven't bothered reaching out because we don't care. I'm sure if we reached out, he'd say yes immediately. He's just waiting. I
got a message for Justin and Sophie. Be nice to each other and don't weaponize the kids against one another.
Oh, that's actually good advice.
That's my advice.
It's actually good advice. Like, it's not.
Thank you. Yeah. So, Jesse, I'm excited to do this one. This one's been floating around.
You didn't even ask me what's going on with me.
Oh, what's going on with you? What's going on in your wonderful life?
No, fuck you. No, nothing. I'm done.
How's Montreal? Are you still in Montreal?
No, I don't care. I'm not going to tell you.
Okay.
Tell me, just get this fucking shit over.
Okay. So this episode is called Prison is based on a 200-year-old bad idea.
What is it?
Prison is based on a 200-year-old bad idea.
I'm pretty sure prisons have been around for longer than 200 years.
Well, they kind of have, but not in the way that we have prisons now. I'll get to it now. So I was working on a project recently, and I'd never really heard about this movement before.
Are you saying that modern day prisons are based on a 200-year-old Canadian idea?
No, and it came from America, but Canada embraced it very, very. This is specifically about Canadian prisons, though.
Okay.
So yeah, I was working with some people who they support women who are in prison with their kind of legal fights, and I never really heard the term before, but I knew it was a thing. But they call themselves prison abolitionists. So they basically want to get rid of prisons.
Okay.
With the idea being that obviously, like, some people will need to live within like some form of restrictions because they might go and murder everyone. But largely speaking, prisons hurt most of the people, and things like drugs and prostitution, like a lot of people are there for those things. However, you could easily like make those things more legal and more just the way prisons work. They kind of group of people who believe that it's doing more harm to the world than anything else. I've never spent it. Have you ever been to prison, Jesse?
No, I've never been in prison.
Not even for a day?
I don't know. I've heard all horrible things about them. I don't think. I mean, from what I've heard, that they're mainly a corporation. They're mainly a way to make money. Yeah. They're not there to actually help society or
in America people. Specifically.
Right. Yeah. I don't know the difference between Canadian prisons and American prisons, but
watched Orange Is the New Black. Now I'm an expert. Anyway, so in Canada, and this is the stats I could find, between 2018 and 2019, there were 37,854 adult offenders in Canadian prisons.
Wow. Right.
So for every 100,000 people, there's 127 people in prison.
Fuck. Right.
So when Canada was a colony with British and French settlers, obviously they didn't have prisons. They might have had like small one-person jails, that kind of thing, but there was no prison system.
Okay.
So do you know how they punished people?
Public humiliation.
Public humiliation and also public physical pain.
Oh, shit.
So the preferred forms of punishment at the time were whipping.
What year was this? What years?
This would have been before, like, kind of, you'd be talking like 1600s, 1700s.
Canada wasn't really around then.
I was talking about,
as we know it, today.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's what I mean.
obviously.
I'm talking about the colonial settler era.
Okay.
So yeah,
this is the States.
Whipping, branding, and pillorying.
Pillorying?
So pillorying is where you're put on a wooden frame with openings for the head and the arms, or the arms and the legs, and they were exposed in public squares for hours or even days. So yeah, physical pain and humiliation were preferred forms of punishment. So you steal a car, you get whipped. No prison.
I guess I don't understand pillorying.
It's where you just get locked in with wood around your feet and your arms and your head, and you just get left out in public in the open for days.
I'm gonna Google this.
So people can come over and like flick your nipples, do whatever they want.
You got a thing with nipples, man. Like,
I think everybody does, but
all right. I'm not gonna. I Googled it. I'm not gonna dig any further.
Yeah. Or the other thing they did was they just transport you out of the country and just dump you somewhere.
That's kind of fun.
So they either take.
Hey, where am I?
They just leave you on an island.
How can I get home? What's my meal? Where's my meal coming from today?
They leave you on an island or just go bye.
Kind of like Big Brother. You have to figure it out, except it's real life.
Exactly.
And the consequence is death.
Honestly, though, some of these things still sound better than prison. If I said to you, you're going to spend 2 years in the prison system, or you're going to spend 2 years and it's going to be like Tom Hanks in Castaway, which one would you choose?
Well, am I not allowed to leave the island?
No. Well, you can build a raft and make friends with a volleyball. No one can stop you, but.
I mean, honestly, I don't know what the Canadian prison system is like. I'd probably take the island.
I think everybody
sounds
would.
more fun.
It does sound more fun. Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
The other thing as well, obviously, execution. They just kill people if they did something terrible.
Yeah, our histories aren't great.
No.
Not like shining examples of what the human race is capable of. Anyway.
But then, you know the Quakers are?
Not really.
So Quakers are kind of like a religious, a branch of Christianity that kind of, they came up with a prison system in Pennsylvania in 1789 called the penitentiary. And it was supposed to be an alternative to harsh punishment. You've heard of the term penitentiary?
I have.
So it comes from the word penitent. And what that means is that you're seeking kind of penance. You're kind of like reflecting on what you've done.
Right.
So the idea is
through pain.
No, not through pain, but through labor and reflection. So there's a plaque for. So basically, a prison this is from the Eastern State Penitentiary. The plaque outside says, "Original prison built 1822 to 1836 on a radial plan by John Haviland, linking solitude with moral and vocational instruction. It exemplified the Pennsylvania of penology and became a model for over 300 prisons worldwide. It closed in 1971. This was open for a long time." So the idea was that if you were this prison startup idea was that you had to cut the prisoner off from all human contact. So you were put in a cell, you weren't allowed to speak, and no one was going to speak to you.
Jesus.
And there was a tiny trapdoor that food would be pushed in with a stick. So there was no human contact at all. And then if they were moved out of the cell, they would be covered in cloth, and the people, they wouldn't get to see anything around outside their cells. And they had nothing else to do than reflect on what they did. Go to your room and think about what you've done, kind of mentality.
For like the next 10 years.
Yeah, and then after a few days, they were given a Bible and no other books or communication.
Oh, after a few days, okay.
Yeah. So they would be like kind of left to reflect and then go, hey, now you've got a Bible. We're going to introduce some stimulus. Here's a Bible. It'd make a great reality TV show.
That's fascinating, honestly. I mean, some people are calling that, and there's some debate as to whether or not it's actually effective. Calling it, what is it called? Where people are doing the same thing. We believe that we're too overstimulated as a society today with all the social media, all our phones in our pockets, our televisions, everything constantly. And so is it dopamine or serotonin dampening? I'm getting the term wrong. Basically, if you want to be better at something, right, the idea is to remove all stimuli or 90% of stimuli that you're normally used to. Like, so you get rid of your phone, you turn off your TV, you unplug your TV, it's like you just get rid of all the books. There's no radio, no podcasts, no music, and like you're bored as fuck.
What you're talking about is just focus time.
Well, no, but it's for the concept is that you're resetting your dopamine, essentially, or you're resetting your. Again, I'm butchering this. You're resetting what your brain is used to getting, and you're bringing the baseline level down to what it can expect, and you do that for a number of days to a week, and then you introduce the thing that you want to learn. I'm going to start learning piano, and you're so fucking bored for the past week that you will obsess over that piano sort of thing. Again, I'm butchering this concept greatly. It sounds very similar. Like, stick them in a room, no contact for 3 days, then give them a Bible. Of course, they're going to read the fucking Bible,
and then they're going to be the best Bible reader.
Right? Seriously though,
how to be the best Bible reader. It's like,
I mean, like it's torturous, but it's also kind of brilliant. Like, that's really like how to get them to read the Bible.
And then what happened?
Literally nothing else to do.
And then what happened was you'd have crazy preachers would roam the halls ranting about like fire and brimstone. That was the other thing they do. So
that's
your only stimulus was the Bible and kind of improvised performances. But obviously, you can see
improvised performances, like a little plays,
little Jesus plays. Anyway, a little Old Testament style plays. But the thing is you can see how all modern prisons are based off that original idea. Obviously, things have changed, but the idea is you've got to go and you've got to go and reflect on what you did. Like that's still the whole thing. Is you go to prison,
go to your room and think about what you've done.
It is, and so even now, that the system we have is still fundamentally based on that idea.
That's amazing. The whole prison system is based off of that concept.
Yeah. So,
wow. But now, of course, like all corporations have come and ruined it, and it's all about money.
I don't think that's happening in Canada. You're thinking of American prisons primarily.
I don't know. Tell me the difference between the two.
I just don't think that you've got a mass kind of labor.
Well, what's the difference?
Canadian prisons aren't. I don't think they're privately run. No, they're not in this province anyway. A lot of them are still government run. Okay. They haven't got private prison companies. Is my understanding.
Well, that's good.
It is good. So
do we focus a lot on rehabilitation here?
Well, I'll get to that now. I mean, that's what they say they do, but roughly, still, they say it's about rehabilitation and they say it's about training people and all this. They never give people enough resources to do it. So it typically ends up just being go and think about what you've done. One of the things they did do was create a radial design that allowed guards to observe all corridors from a central location, even though prisoners could not see anything around them. So it was kind of like a cool cylindrical design. So the guards didn't even know the prisoners' actual names. As the rise in prison population kind of grew, they forced that the prison began to abandon some of the original design features. So they started putting two people in a cell, and the communication was lifted. It's hard to be, a cellmate is not zero stimulation.
Right. This is to save money, though.
Well, I bet you wish it is.
No, it's not to save money?
Yeah, to save money. They just want to cram more people in cells.
Yeah, of course.
Anyway, so they built one of these in Canada, in Kingston, in 1835.
Kingston, Ontario?
Yes. and the first warden of Kingston Penitentiary, Henry Smith, was a dickhead. He was blamed for mistreating, historically speaking, he was blamed for the mistreatment at the time. So he personally would like to use the whip and flog women and children. He'd chain them up in
There are
cells.
children in these prisons?
Yep. If you stole something, you go to prison. He chained them up in
guess.
cells with no
Jesus.
light or in a box. With a box, which is something he had, was a vertical casket that you had to stand in. And an investigation was brought in, and he was kind of kicked out eventually.
Okay, well, that's good.
So after the success of that first prison, they built them all across Canada then. So,
That was their test subject. Yeah, that was great.
exactly.
Yeah.
This is going great. They had the inmates were kind of subjected to a strict regime of forced labor during the day, confinement at night, and during leisure times, food was often limited to bread and water, and silence was still strictly enforced a lot of the time.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, it all sounds horrible.
Yeah.
It's par for the course.
Sounds lovely. So, but it's interesting though, because there's a little bit of a story about someone who kind of brought in this thing that started a little bit of the reform. So, hang on 2 seconds. Pause a minute. Where did that go? I accidentally just deleted something.
Oh, no.
Hang on a minute. Hang on. 2 seconds. Hang on. Tell him a story, Jesse.
Once upon a time, there was a special boy named Reese. He was naked all the time because he hated clothing. He would romp through the forests, his sweaty little body glistening in the sunlight as he gnashed his teeth on every flower he could see because he liked eating flowers. One day, his mommy called him home for soup, and he went running naked as the day he was born through the fields of Wales. And then he came across a dog, and the dog barked at him and followed him home. And he was like, Mommy, this dog followed me home. And she took a shotgun and blew the dog's head off. And they cooked it and ate it for supper because that's what you do in Wales.
Nice.
And Reese
I
cried.
found my notes.
You want to hear the end of the story? Fine, sure.
So,
I had another 2 chapters ready to go.
So, an unlikely character kind of forced prison reform in Canada.
Okay.
Have you heard of Tim Buck?
No, but I heard of the sequel.
Yeah.
Timbuktu.
I thought you were talking about Uncle Buck. Anyway,
sorry.
Yeah. So Tim Buck was one of the founding members of the Communist Party of Canada.
Okay.
So he moved to Canada when he was in 1910 to kind of in search of work, and he was kind of involved in communism. He was a big supporter of Joseph Stalin, and he became general secretary of the Communist Party in 1929. And he was general secretary until 1962 of the Communist Party. And he was obviously, people didn't like communists at the time. So he was kind of arrested. His offices were raided in 1931. And they were arrested and charged with sedition, with the idea that they wanted to overthrow the government in Canada to create like a Soviet country, communist country. And he was sentenced to hard labor. And he was imprisoned from 1932 to 1934 in the Kingston Penitentiary, the original one that was still open. And he was the target of an apparent assassination attempt in his cell during a prison riot.
Shit.
So he was sitting in his cell. Apparently, he was sitting in his cell listening to the riot outside, and then suddenly eight gunshots were fired into his cell through a window and just missed him.
Wow.
Yeah,
that's either like one or many very, very bad shots.
I know. It's like I'm not even looking. Bam, 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 bam. It's like,
wow.
Yeah,
and he's in a room. He's not even moving. He's just sitting there by the window.
Small cell.
8 shots.
Yeah,
didn't hit him.
No,
that's very funny.
Wow. So in 1933, the Minister of Justice, Hugh Guthrie, admitted in the House of Commons of Canada that the shots had been deliberately fired into his cell to frighten him.
Because they couldn't hit him. They were so bad.
This is the Minister of Justice saying, "Yeah, we did it to scare him."
Yeah, sure they did.
So what happened was then there was this huge civil rights campaign as if to go, what the fuck are you doing in those prisons? And he gave a big testimony in front of and I've got to try and pronounce this, Archambault Commission. Sounds right? No idea if it is.
Sounds great to me. So
it basically started the reform of Canadian prisons in 1938 to go, hey, this is about rehabilitation. It's not just about staring at the wall and then finally getting a Bible and then listening to people march around shouting about God.
Amazing. That's what the prison system was still like today.
And then standing in a vertical casket.
That would be amazing if that's what prison was still like. Come on.
But it's not that different. There's only a few things that have changed.
If you made me sit in a cell with literally nothing to do, read, look at, or listen to for like a week, and then gave me a Bible, I'm going to be fucking efficient. I'm going to memorize that whole fucking thing. Let me tell you.
Okay? Just going to be going, hey, let's do a Bible quiz. No, Jesse, I don't want to do another Bible quiz. Let's do a Bible quiz. Let's do a Bible quiz. Ask me, what's on page 13? I don't care.
When's the next theatrical performance in the hall? Yeah. I want to applaud them.
Do you believe in God? No, I just like the Bible. Oh god. Anyway, so since then they've obviously been reforms and stuff, but when you look at it, I argue that nothing much has changed.
I mean a little. I'd say a lot has changed. Yeah,
they got TVs now.
That's a lot.
I'll rephrase it. The fact that you can still run a prison in the same buildings that hadn't changed for a few hundred years proves that, most buildings.
Well, I don't know, man. Like you still haven't told me what modern day prisons in Canada are like. So
I don't know. This is about what they started out as.
Well, you're just saying it's the same as it was, and I'm disagreeing with that because I just.
I'm going to do a follow episode Prisons 2.
All right,
Prisons 2.
So you're saying that prisons in Canada are because a man named Tim Buck was frightened.
No,
by someone shooting 8 bullets, carefully missing him.
I'm saying they
only wanted to scare him. They had to make sure not to hit him, right? So they had to shoot 8 bullets into his cell around his figure as to not cause him any harm and to just frighten him. And because of this, we have the prison system.
No, because of this, they're only slightly better. And for 100 years, no one was really paying attention to what was going on in this. So.
So we get some coffee.
Yeah. So anyway, this has been a fun episode. I hope you enjoyed it.
Me?
Yeah.
It was all right.
Did you have a good time? I did.
Have a great time.
Nice hanging out.
Have a good time with you, Reese. Yeah.
I got to go. It's my son's final soccer game of the season.
With green hair.
No, wrong son.
Wrong son.
Older son.
Okay. Older. Okay.
Old.
Okay, cool. Have fun.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Oldest of the 3.
I'll send you the ASMR files and you can insert them. I hope the listener.
Oh yes, I will. I promise.
You dear listener, I hope you've enjoyed them.
God, I will insert Jesse's ASMR episodes or something. I'll insert them. I'm not telling you where, but.
Bye, everybody. Oh wait, leave us a review. Leave us a review, please.
Yeah.
And if we like it, we'll give you a mug.
Be our friend.
A stupid, sexy Trudeau mug.
But it's got to be a good one.
It's got to be a really good one.
Yeah. It's going to make our eyes sparkle.
Yeah.
Right. Bye, everyone.
Bye. Love you.